Hello everyone, this is Big Boss Cal from 83. I got some things I want to show you and I'll be
Yo,
back in a minute.
today is September the 10th. Tomorrow is September the 11th. And it's September 10th, 2011. So that means it's been exactly 10 years since the buildings got knocked down in New York. Before I go any further in this, I want to let y'all know formally and straight up and down my stance on the whole thing about 9/11. Yeah, I'm one of those. I believe that 9/11 was an inside job because my rational, logical mind will not allow me to even conceptualize yet believe that 19 Muslims came to America, went to somewhere in fucking Florida or wherever the fuck it was they stole a plane from, came here, stole planes, barely able to fucking fly the shits, fly it pinpoint into two asshole inexperienced pilots fly two fucking jetliners into some motherfucking buildings. Yeah. And then somebody's motherfucking passport floated down out of the debris unscathed, you know what I'm saying, to be recovered later. And all the ash and soot and bullshit that was going on, they found this fucking wallet. Now, when I got on the internet today, I saw video after video, article after article, blog after blog about remembering 9/11. And do you remember where you were on that fateful day? And 9/11 and 9/11, y'all. I also saw they got some half-ass memorial that is partially completed, like Freedom Tower, wherever the fuck it is, and the other little shit they got in the footprint of the building, right? And I started thinking about that shit. Like, how in the fuck does these little monuments or whatever the fuck they building, how does it commemorate the loss of so much life on that day? You know what I mean? Like those people didn't deserve to die in no motherfucking buildings coming down. Now, you got some stupid people who've taken, you know what I'm saying, the media's, you know what I'm saying, official story and they ran with it. Those dirty Muslims came over here and knocked down those buildings and they deserve to die and all that other shit, right? Then, I mean, come on, man. Like, seriously. Y'all really believe that? Y'all know America done gave most of its infrastructure away and all that other shit. But do y'all really fucking believe that some fucking planes were fucking flown into those buildings by some motherfucking Muslim dudes? Like, seriously? Anyway, who gained the most from those buildings going down? The Muslims. They were so jealous of our freedom. They knocked down a building. Now they feel vindicated. They've been persecuting us and being over there, those fucked up infidels. Now that we've destroyed a building, that shows them. Get the fuck out of here. Seriously? Nah. Who profited the most from those buildings? Think about everything that happened. From the buildings going down to everything that's happened since then. Who profited the most from that shit? Think about it. When you think about a crime, the best way to solve a crime is to see where the, if it's something involving money, all you gotta do is see where the money goes to see who the fuck was behind it. It's the truth. And I'm not telling you no Hollywood formulaic movie bullshit. I'm telling you real life street shit. You want to follow, you want to catch up the motherfucker who's bringing all the drugs into the motherfucking neighborhood? Follow the money. That's all you got to do. You want to know who the fuck running all these credit card schemes? Follow the motherfucking money. That's all you got to do. These motherfuckers don't know. They only investigate the motherfuckers who they're ready to take shit from. See, what the government do, they'll let you amass a fortune. See, it's easier to let you get a whole bunch of money and then come in gangster and take all your shit than try and take a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, a little bit from that person. Just trying to give y'all a little bit of game. On some real shit, who profited the most from those buildings coming down? Was it the cats that owned the insurance policy and the leaseholders of the building, the owners of the buildings? Was it those people? What about the people who had stuff in the building that lost that shit? Did they gain the most? What was in the buildings? Was it gold? Was it stocks, bonds? What? Records? What? What was in the buildings? Who gained the most from the buildings coming down? See, everybody get caught up in America. Everybody gets caught up on the emotion. Oh, those people died. Yeah, it was a tragedy. It was fucked up. Fuck, tragedy doesn't even encompass or envelop or even scrape the fucking surface of how fucked up it was what they did to those people. Listen, your war in Afghanistan, your war in that fucking Iran, and your war in Iraq, your war in Afghanistan, all the bullshit they're doing over there, all the political unrest is going on right now, every fucking where, all stems from 9/11. All y'all have to do is do some fucking research and backtrack. Everything that's going on in Libya, fucking Syria, Greece, every fucking where else can be directly traced back to 9/11.
These sheep ain't gonna do no research. They will not do no research whatsoever. You know, you can tell them the same thing I said in the past. They're not gonna do no research. You know why? To those who are watching and listening to me and listening to him, because obviously I added his videos into mine. The reason why a lot of people are not going to look that up, like you said, which is because it's too much truth. They want the knowledge handed to them. People don't want to go out. People don't want to lift a finger to look up information. They just want it handed to them. So, my aunt was telling me the other day that you cannot believe anything, and my mother was saying the same thing. You cannot believe anything they tell you on the internet. Anybody can type up any old bullshit and say that it's credible. I can say I'm a doctor and this and that, and I got a degree, I got 10 degrees, and I got a PhD, and start my own firm, and then when you look at I can be in the fucking garage. Now there's some truth, there's some information that is false on the net. But guess what? I'll still take my chance and looking for myself, because it's easy to find out right if it's true or not. You just got to have your head in the right place. But you mean to tell me that the television set is honest when it comes to news reporters and journalists? I know why you think they're credible. Oh, because they're certified. Oh, because they got an actual degree. That don't mean shit. It don't mean anything. It don't mean diddly squat. Because they're certified in their field, that means they know what the fuck they're talking about. No, they don't. And a lot of times, who owns the media? Who owns the news reporting, would you say, industry? Who owns that? Who runs that? It's the elites. It's the bankers and the corporations who run the news service, who run those news services. It's not the common person. If you actually, as a reporter, started telling the truth and reporting what you actually know based on what you looked up and actually the honest facts, you're dead. You'll be locked up. They will make up some BS, some bullshit, and it will lock you up. It has happened. That's the thing. So all you sheep who think because somebody got to be certified in this and that, and they got to have a PhD, they got to have this, and they got to have that, or they got to wear a fucking suit, they got to live in a mansion, they got to drive a Rolls Royce, they got to take a limousine, got to own a jet, helicopter, have all these material possessions, and have celebrity status and have a lot of money. That makes them credible. It does not make anybody credible. Those are the worst people to even trust, because those people are bought and paid for by the corporations, by the banks, and what have you, and the elites. The government owns everything you do. You actually think that to the honest truth, that the TV set, the television, your magazine, your newspaper is going to be outright honest with you? No. I hate to tell you this, but no. Actually, I love to tell you this. That's not the case. That is not the case. If you let somebody tell you, if you let somebody, let me think about this. If you were in a position of power and you were about yourself and you are corrupt and you didn't give a damn about nobody but your own self and all your own selfish wants, and you're greedy and you're cutthroat, if you're in that position, do you actually think you're going to honestly tell the people the truth? Who you deem lower than you? Who you actually deem as all undesirable? So all you people who like to practice eugenics and look down on other people, but don't run shit and don't control shit. Even if you're rich and you're wealthy, if you're not part of the elite class, you ain't shit. You follow what I'm saying? If you're that evil and sadistic and corrupt and a fucking pedophile and a fucking rapist and a fucking thief like the United States government is, and then you got other governments copying that model, if you're a mass corporation and a mass banking and insurance industry, and if you dominate the medicine field, in terms of selling drugs and poisons to people to kill them, and then you just take a look at the food industry. That's a corporation. That's a killer corporation, because they will use food as a weapon. So if I own all these corporations, infiltrate them, and that's which is dominated by banks across the board, and I own the government, and I control the money, do you care what laws that they make? Who you think's making the laws? The people who are wealthy than a motherfucker, who are billionaires and up, not millionaires, billionaires and up. So this man is right. Follow the money. Think about it. Think for yourself. Do your own research. The TV said it's not going to tell you the truth. Nobody in mainstream media is going to tell you the outright truth. And if they do tell you the truth, chances are they're going to be like John F. Kennedy, dead. You need to wake up.
Who is gaining the most from that shit? That tells you who did it. In your heart of heart, and then deep in your real fucking mind, not your TV mind, not your internet conspiracy theory mind, in your heart of hearts, something tells you that there's something wrong with this. Everybody has this, like, if you live in any major city, if you anywhere in America right now, it's this energy that's going through the air. Motherfuckers are tired of the bullshit. And to me, it seems like the politicians and the media are trying to kick something off, but people just won't let that fuse be ignited. But it's like, it's just like, it's like a big ass fucking bomb, like one of them long old school fuses on it, and it's burning down real slow. And motherfuckers are like, they got water guns trying to squirt at the fucking fuse, but they keep missing. You know, you're like, okay, we're gonna put out the fuse. Oh, didn't get it. Well, let's go over here and have something to eat, and in a little while we come back and try to put the fuse out. You know what I mean? It's like they're trying to set something off, you know? That's just my personal opinion. I'm not trying to convince nobody of nothing. To me, realistically, straight up and down, all this talk about what were you doing on 9/11, these memorials, remembering 9/11, and all this other bullshit, and all this, like, we're going to make a 10-year anniversary of people dying, is fucked up. It's fucked up to me. And to me, it does not do the people who died on that day no fucking justice. How the fuck do they benefit from that fucking park and monument that's being built there? Does the fucking profits, if they have any type of commerce going on in that memorial, does the profits gained from that shit directly benefit the people who are the victims, the victims' families and shit like that? You know what I'm saying? The people, the firefighters, the regular workers, the average everyday Joe, they got fucked up in that shit when those buildings fell. Does those fucking memorials and all that old bullshit, instead of commemorating their death, you know what I'm saying, does it do anything for their fucking surviving family? Their loved ones that was left with bills and all that other shit. Does it help them out? I don't think so. If they have stores and shops along that fucking area, do you think any of the proceeds going to the people who died in that shit? But yet still they're going to build some shit that they can profit from off the people's death. Now you say it's a memorial, whatever the fuck. the way I remember the story being told, yeah, it's a memorial, but it's built in memorial to them people, but it's a functioning fucking building. It's gonna have luxury apartments and shops and all this other bullshit. That's some little bullshit little museum part. But for the most part, they're gonna be making money out of the museum because they're gonna be selling shit. They're gonna have making money out of the other space because they're selling shit. They're making money out of the whole little area because they have to buy the permits and all that other shit. So they selling shit. So basically, everybody's profiting off these motherfuckers' deaths. And maybe that's a really juvenile, simple way to look at it. But like I learned a long time ago, you gotta kiss people. Keep it simple, stupid. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Whenever the fuck you think that there's some deep maniacal plan and some dude with some evil fucking machinations to rule the whole world, that type of shit, or the fucking evil fundamentalist Muslims that want to kill everybody that don't believe in Allah, yo, it ain't like that, yo. It's some motherfucking white dude in a suit sitting back saying, we're going to make it look like that. We're going to, like, think about the Gulf of Tonkin incident when they said a boat was blown out the water, but it didn't really, like, all the times when Americans say some shit happened that didn't fucking happen, and then they embellish on it and change it around. You know what I'm saying? For real. Y'all know it's something ain't right with this fucking shit, but ain't nobody saying nothing. Why hasn't another investigation been done into 9/11? They just took the 9/11 commission. It was this, it was that, whatever. It was so many glaring omissions. It was so many falsehoods, so much destroyed evidence and shit, yo. And people did not get the answers they fucking needed. They just put a motherfucking Band-Aid on it and the motherfucking wrote on the Band-Aid Muslim. And everybody rolled with that shit. But can't nobody truly believe that shit. Can't nobody truly believe 19 inept fucking pilots came, took 2 jumbo jets and flew them bitches into buildings. If you do believe that shit, listen, I've got some buildings and some bridges for sale in Chicago. Get in tune with me. Hit me up and I'll sell you a bridge in a motherfucking building. Real shit. But beyond that, all this talk about what was you doing, what difference do it make what you was doing on 9/11? And why do we commemorate stupid shit? What were you doing in the moment when 9/11 happened? Like, to me, that shit don't fucking matter because no matter what the fuck you was doing, it couldn't influence that shit happening or not happening. You know what I'm saying? And then my question is, since 9/11 happened, what have you been doing? That's a better question to me.
Okay, I got some things I want to share with you. See here? To all you fake people who claim you give a damn about the people at 9/11, y'all just need to just stop. Because you're saying you care, you give a damn, but I already know, and most people who are like-minded, like myself, already know that the people who claim that they give a damn about 9/11, they're just saying that shit so they can make themselves look good. They're just trying to look good in front of the public for whatever their agenda is. From politicians, obviously they want to be elected. Obviously, you got the person who wants a second term, and people who are running for the upcoming election. They don't give a fuck about the people who suffered in 9/11. Like I told you, it was like many people have told you, it's a fucking inside job, and it doesn't lie. It doesn't lie. The whole thing was planned. You cannot tell me that the buildings, the 2 twin towers that collapsed, were built to withstand anything made out of steel. You can have a plane, which was not a passenger plane. Those people who got killed in that so-called plane, those people were already hijacked and kidnapped and killed in a different location. Okay? Like I said before, and I'll find, if I have more time with this video, hopefully I do, so I don't have to make another part, because my videos have been long lately. It's been very lengthy, but I still compact it with a lot of truth. It's just I had to spend a lot of time, like 2, 3, 4, 5 parts, or even damn near 10 parts, to squeeze all the knowledge that I know and all my thoughts. See, just take a look. But like I said, you cannot tell me that you have a plane crash into a building and you don't see no goddamn debris, and you don't see no dead bodies. The only bodies that you witnessed were the people inside the building. It was not the passenger plane. It was a military jet that shot a goddamn missile into the buildings.
"8:46 a.m., New York City, New York. American Airlines Flight 11 is allegedly flown into the North Tower by Mohammed Atta. This is the widely known video of the attack, shot by Jules Naudet. At face value, it may not look like much. However, upon closer inspection, in case you missed it, one more time. If you look closely, you'll notice that the shadow of the plane meets the building after the flash occurs. This means that the flash is not the fuselage colliding with the building, but rather a separate event. Not to mention that the flash is twice as wide as the fuselage itself. Within minutes of the attack, news teams from all over the city had their cameras trained on the World Trade Center. Therefore, the second impact was covered by almost every conceivable angle. This footage was shot by CNN. On the underside of the fuselage, an extra piece of equipment is visible. When questioned about this, Boeing representatives refused to discuss it. This is what the underside of a Boeing 767 should look like. The following footage is taken from the documentary Why the Towers Fell. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Bring it back. Did you catch that?
That's how they were able to. That was why they were able to have a big chunk of the piece of the building missing. And for those buildings to fall, and had nothing. I was speaking with my aunt that came over today, talk about it was God that spared them. No, here we go with white Jesus, nuts and berries. Talk about God was protecting those people. That's why the buildings fell downward. No, the reason why the buildings fell, because like I told her, she don't want to believe it. She don't want to look it up. I show her some things. Don't want to look at it. It's because there was bombs already planted in the building, and they said, "Oh, the government wouldn't do that." And you know, it's funny. People who claim to be so Afrocentric. They claim, "Oh, the government wouldn't do that." I mean, since when has the government cared about your black ass? You got all these Negroes, Afrocentric Negro motherfuckers, who talk about all this empowerment, which I'm cool with. You know, all this so-called black empowerment. Well, I mean, for them to have empowerment, first of all, you need to stop calling yourself black and find your original name. Stop calling your kids Eurocentric European names, and it's telling them and assimilating a culture that that's not part of them, and they're already excluded and stereotyped out of.
How do you want change when you're not even willing to recognize that you don't even know what change is? You are so caught up on believing what your ancestral masters have taught you to believe that you don't even recognize you're still in slavery. How is it possible that you can encourage people to keep slave names and feel comfortable about it and don't want to talk about it and tell people not to talk about stuff like that, that ain't important. That's a perfect example of what slavery is. I was at the courthouse the other day getting full custody of my second child from my beloved queen. And in the midst of that, I saw quite a few people there suffering greatly. One brother between the age of 24 to 34 had 4 sons that this female of color snatched up out of his rights to have as a father, trying to do right by her, trying to do right by his children. And she's so vindictive that she gets a brother who's into the culture, at least by lots. Because I saw him in the parking lot when he dropped off to go to the courthouse. She's dark-skinned, got straight hair, trying to perpetrate European ways. But nevertheless, she's with brothers who are about something, but yet she want to perpetrate the Aunt Your Mama trait. So, brother hears me in the courtroom talking to young brothers about how they need to get up out of this system and not allow themselves to be caught up in the traps. Older brothers, young brothers, they're all there and they recognize it. Then one of the brothers' mother came in. And guess what she holding? The slave master ownership called the Bible. And she brings that and she in there, she thinking by having this Bible, she will be able to repel all the Caucasians that say, you cannot have this and you will win your children, and she will show that she's a good nigga, so she has to let them see that she has a Bible and she's obedient to her masters. Now that's basically what it represents. I've heard many times in churches when they say, put the Bible in the window, ain't nobody gonna break your window or steal you, because the Bible will repel these people from attacking you or treating you bad, because the Bible and God is on your side. Let's define God. Gold, oil, diamond, greed, oppression, degradations. Spelled backwards, dog. Let's look at where that come from, that word. It's a Greek word representing demigods, representing something they made up to worship to get people to obey. No different than a day. Now, let's look at the other situation. This was the same book that got our people over 500 years ago into slavery. After they was butchered, attacked, annihilated, and put on boats and sent thousands of miles away from their homeland, overseas into another land, and beat, raped, and destroyed, and defecated upon, and treated like nothing. Then they brought the Bible saying, if you listen to this book, although we won't allow you to read, but you just listen to us as we read it to you, then you will be saved and you will be all right. Now, we are talking to people who have been traumatized, manipulated, raped, abused, tortured, mutilated, subjugated, and publicly put on auction blocks to be sold. But these same descendants of this treacherous act come in your face talking about Jesus love you, God bless you, you need to listen to Jesus, that's the only way you can get salvation. Now, what part of me as a man seeing another man, or a woman seeing another woman, should we not go upside their head and whoop their motherfucking ass? That's just my opinion. Don't you understand how mutilated you have become? Don't you understand how manipulated and brutalized you have become? But you continue to think that what I'm talking about is racist and wrong. The elderly lady, out of respect, not because she was a wise person, but she was an elder, and I respect my elders regardless. So she went on to say, you don't have to be trying to take nobody's religion away. Our religion, that's what we go do, that's our right. And I said, ma'am, you're absolutely right. I have no qualms about anybody picking up a religion that they believe in and it works for them. I'm talking to the people who have apprehensive thoughts about this and recognize that something ain't right and they need something different. Them are the people I'm talking to. I'm not going to talk to an old dog that cannot change and on his way out blind, crippled, and about to die. I'm not referring to the elder as a blind dog. That's a symbolic symbol representing you cannot teach people who are set in their ways to change if they don't want to. But I'm damn sure talking about you ignorant motherfuckers who know right and still decide to do wrong. You cannot simulate a race that want to destroy you, annihilate you, and mess your whole mind up.
You know, you want to put them in the schools, but you don't want to educate your own kids. I understand it's hard, but you can't come together and build your own institution and teach the truth if you got all this knowledge, so they don't get brain raped at an early age. You know, talk about, oh, the government wouldn't do that. Since when the government does it? The government, you got the same government who brought drugs, who fly drugs and put them in poor neighborhoods. And most of the times when they talk about poor neighborhoods, they're really saying, in the subtleness of the subtle racism, black people. They think all black people are poor. I would say more economically disadvantaged, but I would say poor. Not everybody's like poor. We just don't have. We don't control our own infrastructure because it's been raped out of us through history of oppression. But anyway, it kills me when people say, "Oh, the government would not kill their own people, or never throw their own people on the bus." You have cops killing innocent people all the damn time. You have CIA agents killing random people because they know something about the government and they don't want to expose, terrorizing their family and shit. You got the FBI doing the same thing. You got military raping people and killing innocent people, not just overseas, but in this land, in America. How free are you? You're not. And the biggest killer is that people just don't want to do nothing about it. People talk about they got Osama bin Laden, which he was a CIA payroll agent who worked for the U.S. Hey, it's documented. And I got my family members telling me they could post anything on the internet. You can't trust the internet, but you want to watch the TV? That's contradiction, don't you think? Any sensible person that says you don't watch the television set, you don't trust the mainstream media. Even if they do speak some truth, you don't trust it all the way. You gotta just take everything from a grain of salt, and you gotta watch every news station, global. You gotta watch. You're better off watching the international news reports. That's what's reported in other countries, and get your information from country to country. If there's nothing consistent about the story, about the report, and you got if you have a bunch of different stories and theories, that means the thing ain't true. And don't trust the American new media. Don't trust the American media. Don't trust the Jewish media, the Jewish feminist media. Definitely don't trust the American media because they will lie to you, and they will cover a lot of stuff up. If you want to find the truth, you analyze it through every news station, not just in America, which I say don't trust, but you do it from country to country, from different parts of the world. And if chances are you're better off trusting the international news because they're quite more honest. They're not no better, but they're a little more honest. I mean, despite people claiming, oh, they don't have no freedom of speech to say this and that. Which is funny because for some reason, they have more balls to tell the truth over there, over outside of America. People who don't live in America, they have more balls to tell the truth and stand up for themselves and stand up for the rights and get more rights, the rights for themselves, and fight back than the people here just are so, so just domesticated. I would say more so domesticated, and also if they're upper class, they're so goddamn complacent. And they just don't want to know the truth. I mean, for some reason, people, ever since you know what I think it is? No, just, you know what I think it is, truth, to tell you the truth? We've been watching so many of these movies where, a person, is like, let me just show you this. I'll say this in a little, I'll say what it is. Because it's obviously social conditioning why the fear is in place. Let me give you my take on the whole thing. I think the reason why people are so afraid to speak out against, the government and speak out against the government and all its entities, and such as the corporations, the elite bankers, those who run healthcare, criminal insurance companies, and then you got law enforcement, and these these higher elite officials, these well-named wealthy families, and then you speaking about the politicians, because you can't talk about a politician anymore like you did a long time ago. You never really could talk about a politician, but people had more balls back then. The thing is, the reason why I think people are such cowards is because of the fact of the indoctrination of being in public schools. I mean, and I'll say private schools aren't any better. I think the whole school system, especially in public schools, because in private schools they indoctrinate you, but they don't mislead you. Public schools is they just brain rape you out the ass. Because the reason why the public schools are more fucked up, because the government has so much control. See, private schools, it's run by an individual who's doing their own funding, so there's more leeway. But public schools, the government got the whole foot in their ass. I mean, telling the whole district of what they can and can't do. I mean, the government controls the schools, but the reason why we're told to go along with the system. We've been indoctrinated. We're told if you don't conform, because that's what they teach you in public school, and mostly public school, and any form of school where you have to honor the rules and regulations. It's because of the fact if you don't conform, you're told you'll never be successful. You never amount to shit. Hell, you won't get no bitches. You won't get that. You won't get the cream de la creme of successful men. You know what I'm saying? If you're a woman, if you're a man, you don't get no bitches. You don't get no women, because you know how women will always conform, because they're about this being with the status quo. They don't like truth. You know them bitches don't like truth. And then you got movies where they got like Enemy of the State with Will Smith. No, he knew this guy. No, he was a loner. He was undesirable. Probably, I mean, no, obviously he was undesirable because he was not doing well for himself. He couldn't hold down a just over broke. Didn't have resources. He wasn't balling out of control. And it's because, and the reason why I look at that movie, I haven't watched it in a while, but as I start, doing this video and start remember how many times I've seen that movie, I see why he couldn't be successful, be on point like he wanted to be. It's because of the fact because of what he knows. Because corporations will not take a guy, because if you know too much, you're not gonna get hired, and plus they don't want you to change the system. They want you to just take it in the ass and shut the fuck up. You understand? And when I watch that movies like Enemy of the State, and then you got these other movies like Under Siege, Denzel has done some other movies about this, but then you got movies with Pierce Brosnan, with 007, doing working as CIA agents, being affiliated and associated, and being the enemy of military government. And you see how the CIA and the government comes after them and kills them and tries to kill them, and how they try to blackball them. You had a situation. I mean, look at Danny. I mean, I remember when Danny Glover was blackballed for speaking truth about Bush and Colin Powell. About the whole, and I think he said something about 9/11, how he got blackballed. And I think the reason why they show these things and talk about destroy, slandering him, slamming him, in the public. They did that to put the fear in us. You follow what I'm saying? That's these movies, and when they show law enforcement, military, FBI, CIA, government officials, speaking and showing what they will do to you, that's intimidation. That's all there is to it. It's intimidation. These movies that, well, if you know this and that, if you work on the internet, we're going to cut your funds. And I'm not saying, I wouldn't put it past them, but you got to be prepared to, counteract. You can't be afraid all the time. You follow what I'm saying? You can't not be afraid to have your tail between your legs all the fucking time. No, there's got to be a time where you got to just stand up. No, we've been so conditioned to fear these motherfuckers, but the fact of the matter is, we are funding these motherfuckers. We buy these motherfuckers products. We support these corporations. We're taxpayers. We pay these corporations. We spend money on them. Of course, we're forced to invest our money in them. Yes, if you don't, you try to live off the grid, they'll kill you. And because of this, all these things are scare tactics. You're told that if you speak out on the internet, they'll come after you. I'm not saying that won't happen. It has happened. But however, you got to be able to stand up for yourself. I'd rather die standing and fighting on my feet than live on my knees and then they'll kill me anyway. I'd rather die standing up, fighting, than to be on my knees and sucking them off, and then being raped in the asshole, and then they kill me anyway. You gotta fight. They're gonna kill you anyway, regardless of how you like it. So you rather die being a man, die fighting back and defending yourself as a man or a woman, than dying like a fucking coward. That's real talk. That's what you have to do. When people tell you to stop listening, don't listen to the internet. Don't watch TV. Of course you don't believe everything you hear. You have to take everything with a grain of salt, and you still have to do research. That's why you do your own research, so you can be able to validate for yourself what is true and what is untrue. What do you think is right? What do you think is wrong? But I'm going to speak more about my grievances of 9/11. Because it's bullshit. And this day should be boycotted. But I'm going to do it. But I'm doing the next. That's going to be next week. I'm taking a little break for a minute. Be right back. I'm out. Peace.
You know what I hate? Vampire movies. Vampire movies have been done to fucking death, man. Every time I see a new vampire movie or TV show, I know there's some hack writer sitting in a room all by himself, completely out of fucking ideas. So he decides to rehash the same old shit that's been done a million times before. Think of something new, you unoriginal motherfuckers. That's exactly how I feel about 9/11. I don't think a single day has passed in the last 10 years that somebody has not reminded me of 9/11. It's always the same bullshit over and over and over again. The news media is always rehashing the same old shit over and over again, making sure there's not a single moment in our lives that we can forget about this tragedy. As though this is the worst tragedy that ever happened in human history. But guess what, folks? I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but 9/11 is not the greatest tragedy to happen in world history. Far fucking from it. 3,000 people died on 9/11 and some buildings got destroyed, which is a damn shame. But you want to know what else is a damn shame? 600,000 people died last year alone from heart disease. 500,000 people died last year of cancer, man. Every single day, every fucking single day. 16,000 kids in this world die of starvation. But hey, most of them are African and they're black, so I guess their deaths aren't nearly as important as those that died on 9/11, are they? Now don't get me wrong, I feel sorry for every single person that lost a loved one on 9/11. But you want to know who else I feel sorry for? Everybody who has ever lost a loved one ever due to anything. Is there something special about these 3,000 people that make their deaths more important than the 56 million people that die every single year? The answer is fuck no, man. The pain and suffering of every single person that has to go through the loss of a loved one is equally sad. That's the truth, man. And if that's the truth, ask yourself, why are the deaths of these 3,000 people shoved down our throat every single day? Well, the answer is very simple. It's because 9/11 was exciting as shit, man. The news media is all about sensationalism, and 9/11 is the gift that keeps on giving. Whenever there's a lull in broadcasting, they don't have to go out and research a new story. They don't have to go investigate. They don't have to film new footage. All they have to do is break out the tried and true 9/11 footage. All they do is rehash the same old shit over and over and over again. 9/11 is like a vampire movie of world tragedies. And speaking of blood-sucking vampires, the politicians are leeches. They'll attach to any story and suck that story dry until there's nothing but a dead husk left on the ground. They're psychopaths who would do anything to grab power and hold on to it for as long as they possibly can. Do any of you people out there really think any of these politicians give a shit about the 3,000 people that died on 9/11? If you do, you're so fucking stupid you should be mentally aborted. The politicians simply do not give a shit, and neither do the news media. You really think Bill O'Reilly sits awake at night crying about the people that died on 9/11? Fuck no. All he cares about is the millions of dollars he's making every year by spreading this fear. The deaths of every single person that died in those towers has been desecrated and used in the world's greatest con job. $1.2 trillion has been spent on the war on terror since 9/11. $1.2 trillion. That's so much money the human mind cannot even contemplate it correctly. That's enough money to easily cure world hunger. We could save every one of those 16,000 starving children that die every single day. That's enough money to give every American citizen health care for at least the next 10 years. We could save an uncountable number of lives. But instead of saving lives with this money, we fucking didn't. We got conned out of it. The American news media is the greatest friend the terrorists ever had. They rely on the news media to spread their fear for them. I mean, who amongst us would be even a little bit afraid of the terrorist if not for the media shoving this shit down our throats day in and day out? The answer is none of us. We wouldn't even fucking know about it. Terrorists depend on our media to scare us. Did you know that Osama bin Laden admitted that he attacked our country in order to pull us into endless wars and to bankrupt us? Did you know that? Why the fuck are our politicians doing exactly what Osama bin Laden wants? It's insanity. Our American news media are willing accomplices to these terrorists. They're willing to be Al-Qaeda's bitch anytime, day or night, in order to make a buck for themselves. It's incredibly shameful, and it's time for somebody to stand up to and tell them we know what the fuck they're doing. We no longer buy it. We no longer live our lives in fear, because we are smart enough to know that this fear you're spreading is based on nothing. Did you know that you're more likely to be killed by a peanut than you are to be killed by a terrorist? True story, man. Go look it up. You're more likely to be killed by a cow than you are to be killed by a terrorist. You're 8 times more likely to be killed by an American cop than you are to be killed by a terrorist. That's why when I get on an airplane, I would much rather sit next to a Middle Eastern guy in full Muslim garb than I would be sitting next to a cop. The truth is that statistically, you have almost no chance of being killed by a terrorist. Almost none. So why do we allow them to shove this fear down our throat day in and day out? Aren't you guys sick of being conned by the military-industrial complex? Aren't you guys sick of being their bitch and allowing them to take your hard-earned tax dollars to make weapons of mass destruction? Aren't you tired of them murdering strangers in your name over this bullshit? I'm fucking sick of it. It's time for somebody to stand up and say enough is a goddamn enough. Who the fuck is with me? While we fire our teachers, while we dismantle our very basic social safety nets, we allow the military-industrial complex to make us so afraid we hand over trillions of dollars to them in order for them to go fight these boogeymen. For every single $1.5 million Tomahawk missile that is fired, instead of using that money on the poor to help starving children, to help our homeless, to help the neediest and poorest among us, that's just further proof of what a sad, sick, ghoulish society our military-industrial complex has turned us into. Don't get mad at me, man. I'm just trying to keep this shit in perspective. I, for one, am tired of the con job they're using this tragedy to fuel. I'm tired of them pretending like these 3,000 deaths are the most important deaths in history. You want to know what happened when my dad died? I cried for a little bit, I mourned his death, and then I fucking got over it. I didn't dwell on it for the rest of my life. That's what everybody who loses a loved one has to do. They have to fucking move on. It happens 56 million times every year. So look, I don't give a shit how unpopular this is. I'm gonna say it. Fuck 9/11. It happened. It sucks. Get over it already. Move on with your lives. Fuck everybody in the news media and every politician who continues to exploit this shit. Fuck the new World Trade Center buildings. Fuck the cross they're erecting in front of it. Fuck the military-industrial complex. And most importantly, if you don't like me expressing my free speech and saying this, fuck you. Logic. When it's time to judge my soul, when it's time to pay that toll, I know that at least those money stood for peace. I know that on that day.
Today is September 11th, 2011, and it officially marks the 10-year anniversary of the attacks on the World Trade Center towers in New York City on September 11th, 2001. And I just wanted to use this day to mourn the lives, the 3,000 lives that were lost due to our corrupt and satanic government. I would like to mourn the hundreds of thousands of civilian lives that are lost as a result of our U.S. military, and I would also just like to mourn the loss of our liberties that so many fought and died to ensure and protect. And when I say that, I'm not referring to, you know, today's military that thinks it's so patriotic to go shoot brown people, but I mean, our founders believed, give me liberty or give me death, and today people see an attack and they're just willing to surrender everything that so many people fought and died to ensure. Because as a human being, I am born free. A government doesn't give me my freedom. I was endowed by my Creator with certain inalienable rights, and governments are supposed to protect those liberties, not give them to us, and certainly not, you know, take them away from us. So I think it's really sad that because of an attack, people say it's okay for the United States to torture, even though there has been no time in history where a government has used torture on enemies and not ended up using those same techniques on its own citizens. We as a country have said that it's okay for the Border Patrol to stop us when we're driving down the highway and just randomly ask us where we're going and what we're doing when they have no probable cause. We think it's okay for the TSA to feel our private parts or see us nude in body scanners in order for us to fly on a plane. I mean, I don't know where the people in this country are going to draw the line, but they need to decide. And I mean, an attack doesn't change anything for me. I still believe, give me liberty and or give me death. Give me liberty or give me death. And I also support a new investigation of the attacks on September 11th. Over 1,500 architects and engineers have come out and said that the buildings did not collapse due to fire, but by controlled demolition. You know, fire does not melt steel. There were 2 planes, yet 3 buildings collapsed. I mean, this is all basic physics that people learn in elementary school. And I mean, 6 of the 10 writers of the 9/11 Commission report themselves have come out and said that the report is fraudulent. We need a new investigation. The people who lost their lives on September 11th deserve truth and they deserve justice. And I hope that one day they can get it. And I would just like to say that there might be a lot of really bad things that happen in this country, but it won't be with my approval or consent, and I still believe, give me liberty or give me death. My freedom, it means something to me, it's valuable to me, and I'm not going to just give it up. And I really appreciate and I really value the other people in this country who still believe that as well. Alright, you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.
I'll say this now. Now I'm going to give my whole perspective on 9/11. What sucks about 9/11 is that People want to walk around and act and think like it's the greatest tragedy in world history, which is a bunch of nonsense. It's not. You have many other tragedies in throughout history, which is we start off with the slave trade, which nobody gives a damn about. Let's talk about the Holocaust. That was a tragedy. You had the war. Let's talk about the wars. Those are tragedies. And it's funny how America likes to cry about their pain and suffering in their past, but they don't give a damn about nobody else's. You follow what I'm saying? America is the biggest, is full with a bunch of parasites and spoiled, entitled crybabies, and a lot of bigotry. I don't need to go in specific on who I'm talking about. They want to cry. They tell everybody else to forget their past and get over and move the fuck on. Especially when it comes to people of color. Like, the slave trade was the only tragic thing. We could, and it's not. The continuous lynchings, the brutal assaults of seeing somebody get burnt alive, the Jim Crow, the civil rights movement, where many people died for doing the right thing. Now let's talk about America and Britain mainly. Let's talk about the tragedies of what the people suffer through India. The abomination what happened to Japan when the U.S. bombed Japan, when Pearl Harbor was an inside motherfucking job. We had the tragedy of the like I said before, the Holocaust with the Germans and the damn near murdering the Jews off the planet. Let's talk about how the Native Americans were damn near wiped out. Let's talk about how damn near black people were damn near wiped off, and we're still here. But despite all the disenfranchisement of a lot of people suffering worldwide because of destruction, because of what America does. And let's talk about the oppression of. You have Walmart setting sweatshops in foreign countries like, particularly Southeast Asia, Mexico, and you got kids, especially kids, working like 20 hours on, and they're getting a couple cents. That's a tragedy. You have America terrorizing the globe, terrorizing the Middle East for some goddamn oil. When we got oil in our backyard, and it's a business. War is a business. You have people, you have people over there getting maimed, getting raped, getting murdered and killed, beaten and tortured, and being set up for crimes that they did not commit, and they're forced to confess to crimes that they did not commit. You will follow what I'm saying. America has been built on. I'm so sick and tired of America trying to portray themselves, and particularly Europeans. They're guilty of this. They're talking about how it's like when something happens to y'all, man, yo motherfuckers, you Caucasian motherfuckers. And I'm not saying all. There's some good people. There's good people out there that I associate with. They're not like that. But the ones who I'm speaking to, or who are like that, y'all have the audacity to victimize motherfuckers. Take advantage of them, oppress them. I'm talking about people who are empowered to oppress them, and then the people who don't have nothing, the ones who live in trailer parks, they defend them because based on some fucking bullshit propaganda. Because they got the same skin as them, even though the elite don't give a damn about their asses either, because they're poor rednecks. You're just another nigger to them. Like I'm saying, America goes around stealing resources from other lands. So does Britain. You know, they raped, maimed, murdered, killed, raped, sodomized, tortured, beaten, and then they're made off ethnic people for greed, and they want to hide behind quote unquote white Jesus, that blonde, blue-eyed Jesus, and this doctor carrying the Bible and talk about how God bless America. God bless America. Kumbaya, we shall overcome. When they do these atrocities, you got motherfuckers. You got colonialism still going on in so-called Africa, and y'all want to talk about forgetting the past when the past has never ended. And don't interrupted. You got. I mean, you got incest. You got porn, pedophilia. You got genocide, rape, murder, beating and torture of innocent people, and that's what they're doing over there right now. Not just, I mean, Middle East. You got certain parts of Asia. People are suffering over there. Those are furlough status. You got Africa, obviously, people suffering over there. But the minute now, let's say the Arab people, the Middle Easterners, the brown people. Let's say they did do it, which I know they didn't. It was the United States government that people continuously foolishly support and never stand up to. Now, you have done all these evils, America. You elite people who run America have done all these atrocities, and you've never been prosecuted. You have never you give people like very little reparations. You obviously didn't give black people no reparations. I don't give a, and you want to talk about because the people in the past are not alive, but even though they got children of descendants, that gives you a justification to give your kids who are alive today stolen wealth that they did not earn, that resources that they don't have, that they should not earn. If you want to talk about you want to have this attitude of we don't owe you anything, then I guess the people who are in positions of power need to step the fuck down and give all the resources that your forefathers stole from other lands and other nations and people that you oppressed and suffered, raped, abused, sodomized, tortured, and you killed all the innocent children you have killed, and all the lands you have stolen. You need to give back all. Then those kids, your offspring, don't deserve a cent to that money and the resources and that power. Because you want to believe in equality, I believe in true equality. Then they gotta work the same. They gotta bust their ass like I gotta bust my ass, like the next person gotta bust their ass. Today's elite, majority Caucasian, those kids who are alive today and the same age as me, they don't deserve anything. They're not entitled to resources that they did not earn. You understand what I'm saying? Like I said, I mean, like people said before, the Germans, what they did to the Jews was fucked up. But you know what? Even though the Germans in that time, the Germans who are alive today had nothing to do with the Holocaust, and the Jews who were victims, even though the kids who are alive today had nothing to do with the Holocaust, but they're working together. And the Germans did compensate the Jews. That's something you should learn from. I mean, there's some people who actually apologize. They say, hey, we should not be sitting on our pedestal. We stole from y'all. We tortured y'all. We bankrupt y'all. You know, I had nothing to do with it. I can't take what my forefathers did was wrong. So I'm not taking these stolen resources. I'm giving it back. I'm circulating. To y'all, we're going to start off as a clean slate. Because if you're not entitled to those resources, I'm not entitled to it either. But no, people got to be on top. But like I'm saying, let's say that the Arabs actually did 9/11, are responsible for it. Let's say they did. Don't you think it's justified for them to do what they did? You went around. You forever been stealing blood. You've been trading blood for oil forever. You've been damn near colonizing their lands for a long time, stealing their oil because they refuse to give it to you. You've been making profit off their misery and their oppression. Am I right? I might not be on. There might be a little faltered from the information, but I'm pretty sure I'm close to the right. And just even though it might not be accurate, I'm just stick with the whole plot of what I'm trying to tell you. Just stick with what I'm saying is, you know, you have victimized the globe for far too long, and you people have done that. Now, the day that they retaliate, you want to cry. Doesn't that address how people are treating each other? The problem is people have failed to grow up. You know? People have failed to grow up. Grow the fuck up. You want to treat somebody any old type of way you want and expect no backlash and no consequences and repercussions, and it doesn't work out that way. You want to walk with your Bible and how much of a goody two shoes. And I hate when these fake Christians, they go traveling around the world acting like they're helping the poor folks, when the reason why these poor countries are poor is because of them, because of their government, because of the people who are the wealthy elite who run their country doing these things. And then they want to come up and they want to spread their lolly-dolly silly white Jesus, and they want to talk about God and forgiveness. So basically, you're telling them, what you're really saying, translation, we believe in, you support God, right? So you support gold, oil, diamonds, greed, oppression, and degradation of other people, but you don't want that done on you. It's really sad. We can learn from this. Now let's say that Arab people did do it. From what America has done to the world, that has terrorized, America has been is the biggest terrorist that has ever lived. The reason why they are a superpower, are considered a superpower, they're no longer a superpower anymore. But at the time, the reason why America was where they're at was because of their dishonesty. They invaded a land, particularly those who derived from Europe. They invaded a land that was not theirs to begin with. They lied to them and deceived them. It's funny how people want to talk about America, want to talk about history and stuff, but they don't want to. They want to tell you what they want you to know instead of what you need to know, instead of the truth. They stole land from native people. From the native peoples that wasn't theirs. Then they go up and buy slaves. They take the people who are less fortunate and make them as slaves. Then they bring slaves from another continent, particularly Africa, and then they make profit off those slaves, and they get free labor. I mean, they even enslaved the Native Americans when they raped their land too. They profit off of it, free labor. And then they want to sit up on top of and they talk about how superior they are and how bigoted they are well, they actually are bigots. They want to talk about how great they are when they haven't done nothing but cheat their way to the top. That's like you just might as well just suck dick to the top. You're like a woman. You're a prostitute. You want an A? You suck the professor's dick. You sleep with the professor. If you want a promotion, you sleep your way to the top, like some women do. And I don't want to hear that they don't. They still do. Unfortunately, a man can't do that with a female boss. So, America's just built on a lie. Now let's talk about America's problems. You have incest. You have pedophilia. You have rape. You have misogyny. But now you have a lot more misandry. You have classism, you have racism, and you people believe in eugenics. You're a eugenicist. You believe in lookism. You believe in all these things. You believe in all these things. So, and then they want to talk about some guilt. You do all these evil things and don't take no accountability for it. You don't want, even if you don't, I'll show you a clip so you can understand.
As a white male, should I feel guilty for the sins of my fathers? I affirm that they exist, but should I feel guilty for them?
No. You should feel angry. And you should feel committed to doing something to address that legacy. It's like, for instance, with pollution, right? We think about the issue of pollution. Now, none of us in this room, to my knowledge, are individually responsible for having belched any toxic waste into the air or injected toxic waste into the soil or done any of the things. You know, we didn't put lead paint in the housing. You know, individually, we're innocent of that. But someone did that stuff. And we're living with the legacy of it right now, or as the case may be, dying with the legacy of it, getting ill, right? So it isn't about feeling guilty about what someone did, even if you were like the direct heir of the chemical company that did the pollution, but it is about saying all of us in the society have to take responsibility for what we find in front of us. There's a big difference between guilt and responsibility. Guilt is what you feel for what you've done. Responsibility is what you take because of the kind of person that you are. Right? And so if I see a set of social conditions that have been handed to me and which not only did wrong by others but elevated me and give me advantage that I did not earn, it isn't about beating myself up. I'm not responsible for that having happened. I'm not to blame for it, so guilt is totally unproductive. But in order to live an ethical life, it seems to me, to live ethically and responsibly, I have to take some responsibility for the unearned advantage, which means working to change the society that bestows that advantage. It's not guilt, but it is responsibility. It's no different than, someone looking at the issue of pollution, or if you became the CFO of a company, you know, you'd have to come, you wouldn't be able to come in and say, well, I intend to use the assets of this company, and I intend to put them to greater use, and I intend to use the revenue stream that we've got going. But that whole debt side of the ledger, no, I'm not paying any of that because I wasn't here when the other person ran all that debt up. You should have gotten them to pay it before you gave me the job. Now I'm here, and I'm innocent. We would realize that made no sense. So it isn't about innocence. It isn't about guilt. It's about responsibility. It's something we all have to take. White folks have to take it. People of color have to take it. Men and women have to take it. Everybody has got to take it because we're living with that. If we don't do it, no one does it, and it doesn't get done. We're the only hope we have. So,
even if you are not like that and you had nothing to do with it, you still have a responsibility to do the right thing. If you want to redeem yourself, you have to lead by example. You have to follow the honor code of the moral code, and you must. Even though you might not like this, but you have to go against the grain. You see your family doing evil things. You see them doing criminal activity. You know, it's a simple metaphor. If my family was a bunch of drug dealers, right? Even though that's wrong, you know, I had nothing to do with it. I wouldn't support that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the problem. You see people that you know in your family who is doing foul stuff, committing white collar crime, and you don't want to. You want to keep the benefits of it, but you don't want the responsibility of it. You know that you have stolen resources. That is not yours, but you want to take it anyway because you want to live the lifestyle. I can understand that. You know, if somebody dropped $100 bill, you know, I sure as heck would like to keep it. But if I know that money ain't mine, I can't take it. And people have dropped $100 bills, and you know, I wanted to keep it. Some of these people, you know, I met have stolen some things that they shouldn't have took things that they shouldn't have took, and they try to give it to me. But I can take it. because that's not mine. You understand? That's not mine. Now, even though I had nothing to do with them stealing stuff, I'm still a liability. I can't take something that's not mine. If I know it belongs to that person, regardless of the people around them were dead, and maybe that person that got stolen, their things were stolen from was dead, but I know the relative. I know some relatives are still alive. Maybe their grandchild, cousin. I tell them what happens, and I tell them to do good of what they have. And I recover something, and it's for them to keep. Now, as far as this 9/11, I'm gonna cut this 9/11 thing. It's fucking bullshit. 9/11 was an inside job. As far as people want to talk how good these forefathers were, they're the fucking evil son of a bitches that have ever lived on this planet. They're heartless. They're evil. They're wicked. They're selfish. They came here to North America and built it, but had other people build it. They have slaves built it. They did that, and then they got the nerve to call themselves superior. They got every information. They got what they know from other people, from other nations. Okay. I forgot I lost my train of thought. Okay. 9/11, like I said, it was like these Freemasons. America was not intended for a common person, a working class, middle class, even an upper class person. It was for not the rich, not the wealthy, but for the elite wealthy. This country and these constitutional rights was not intended for the common person. It never was. You never had freedom. You have, when it comes to human rights, you have freedoms and rights of that when it comes to human rights. But in terms of the Constitution, you never had those rights. You are lied to. People wonder why I'm so angry all the time. This is why. Because I know I'm living in a land that's full of lies. What trips me out is that people die every day. People get killed every day. I do It Happen Again videos for a reason. People get killed all the time. But most of the killings murders that take place, that person, not all the time, not blaming the victim, that person created their own killer by the way they treat other people. People create their own killers. Then that's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't go around starting fights, starting wars, and colonializing and raping lands and stealing stuff that's resources and lands that ain't yours, and don't expect no retaliation and no war. People have a right to stand up to themselves. You understand? No, but 9/11 was an inside job. It was planned. It's been planned for the last 100 years, man. 50 to 100 years. That's what I'm saying. This thing was planned by design. I mean, you had the buildings that collapsed. You had a military jet with a missile, shoot a missile to a building through the buildings. Then you had bombs go off. It was a controlled demolition, just to take your rights away, just to take your liberties away that you actually never had. Now, people want to talk about, you can't talk about the government. Why can't I talk about the government? Because I'm receiving some benefits. So, I mean, I gotta keep my mouth shut. Fuck out of here. No, you shut the fuck up. You fuck out of here. You're out of order. Just because I receive some services, some public aid from the government, I'm not saying that I do personally, but I know people who do. That does not mean that that this government, this criminal government, should be let off the hook. They still committed a crime. So what are they giving me? They're giving me table scraps. These motherfuckers are on top of a elite hill, and they're taking advantage of me and raping me in the ass. I'm in a compromised situation, compromised position. They're taking advantage of me. I'm still poor if I'm getting public aid. These bastards get public aid as well, and they're on top, and they're making the rules and making the laws. They're telling me what I can and can't do, but they can do whatever they want to do. And I have a right to talk about the government. Because even if they're doing something for me, somebody does something nice for me. There was this movie where, it was like this Vietnam movie. These Cooper soldiers gang raped a Vietnamese woman. One of the men saw what had happened and decided to speak out. And then these group of soldiers who gang raped the woman has the audacity to say, "Well, I saved your life, and how can you do this to me? You're going to destroy my life, and so, you're going to put me in jail and destroy my life forever, and I have a family." Fuck you. You knew what you did was wrong. That doesn't you saved me. You saved my life like a couple weeks ago. That does not justify what you did to that woman when you gang raped that woman. You don't get off the hook. I mean, I hate when people do something nice for you, especially when you didn't ask for it, and they feel that you owe them, and then they have the audacity to do something that they're not supposed to do, and then they want you to not say nothing because they did one thing for you, so you're supposed to give them a pass for some foul shit that they did. No, it doesn't work that way, and that's how I look at the government. Just because they're giving you some table scraps, they have all the coins, they have all the money, they have all the wealth, they have all the resources. I'm not going to let you off the hook because you did something nice for me for one goddamn day. Fuck you, America. People die every day. People get killed every day. People get murdered every day. You have kids getting killed every day. You have abuse that's going on. You have domestic abuse. You have civil abuse. People dying every day. People dying because of health problems, diseases, physical complications. You have people, dying, getting killed by, working the most dangerous jobs in the world, man. You have a lot of freak accidents that happen in the home. You have people dying from street violence. Street violence, school violence. You have people dying in auto wrecks, plane wrecks, train wrecks. You have people dying, but nobody talks about that. You got people getting killed by drug abuse, or somebody poisoned them, some medical malfunction. You getting run over by a drunk driver, but nobody makes an issue of that. And the number one thing that, out of all that, you have people getting killed because the way people treat each other. That's why I call it happened again. And you see all these news stories of people getting killed and people going crazy, shooting up buildings, shooting up their workplace that they used to work at, school shootings, and nobody cared. Everybody sweeps that under the rug because if they saw the truth on how these things keep happening frequently, then some fucking terrorist attack, you're more likely to get killed by a criminal government, by a government official, such as the CIA, FBI, police officers, military soldier, which are more dangerous because they're fucking dumb and they'll take orders from any old body because they're sheep. But people die from these tragedies. You have people who are tortured and killed and murdered and maimed when it comes to dealing with the government, with the military-industrial complex. But nobody's screaming a war and having an uproar about that. 9/11 is the biggest fraud that ever has been, that there was. But don't worry, because those people who died on 9/11, you may not like this, but I have my freedom of speech. They had it coming. You know why? Because the people think they can go around treating people like shit and don't expect no fucking consequences. These are the same motherfuckers who went by looks, who practiced their eugenics, judged somebody for 1 to 5 seconds, before getting to know them, labeling them, insulting them, putting them down, abusing another human being, and this new human being had done nothing to them. Oh, because they noticed, because they didn't look like them, they didn't have the same skin color as them, same nationality, whatever, what have you. Or because this person was a little on the chubby side to them, or this person was too skinny, or because they had more money. So they have more money than this person, and they see this person's poor, so they're going to treat this person less than a human being and get a big power trip. Then you discriminate, and then you have, and then you have people. Then when it has and then you have the dating scene of that situation, because I know these people were fucking. No, like there are women being on their pedestal, while the guy has to do it all and they're suppressed down, and then you have your shallow bad boys, going by looks, but would shoot shit on another man, would throwing their good friend, male friend underneath the bus to get laid. Then you got lying and deceiving, and all other kinds of evil going on. So those people who died, I really don't have no sympathy for them, because there's a lot more people who actually need to die and deserve it for their evil, wicked ways. And when you think 9/11 was a tragedy, you think all the events that happened, like I said, the slave trade, the Holocaust, the Civil Rights Movement, Jim Crow, and then you have World War I, World War II, then you have the war with Japan. I mean, history repeats itself. Then you have the Vietnam War. History repeats itself. Nothing has changed. That's what I noticed. Nothing has changed at all. But there's going to be a change when they bring in World War III. You talk about the stuff that's going on in the Middle East when you got U.S. soldiers killing innocent people for no goddamn reason, raping them, torturing them, sodomizing them, beating them senselessly, abusing them, tormenting them, and ridiculing them, damn near maiming them, and committing absolute genocide. But when we have this economic collapse, when you really feel it, and you have martial law, then you got World War III, you got FEMA, and these same soldiers, these troops that you fucking supported, you try to shame me into supporting and other like-minded people who question their government. When your government turns on you, I told you so. You remember that? I told you so. We told you so. You wanted to support these criminals. Well, guess what? That's your reward. Guess what? You supported these motherfuckers, and so you deserve to die, because they will kill you. And you think by doing what they tell you and having your tail between your legs it's going to save you. No, it's not. You're going to die a coward. I'd rather die standing up, fighting on my feet, than living on my knees. So, but seriously, they got there's no conspiracy theory. They got these missiles, and these bombs they're gonna drop on us, and then you got millions of people who are gonna die, and that's what they want. And then it needs to happen so we can wipe off all these parasites of the world. And you got these fake motherfuckers talking about they give a damn about people, and about some 9/11 bullshit, but you got people who are suffering every day and dying and getting killed every day for bullshit, and they don't say nothing about that. So you got what you deserve, America. A big fuck you, and I can't wait for your day to come. I'm out. Peace.